If you are one of the 4 million COVID EIDL borrowers, I've got some good news and some reporting to do on this EIDL forgiveness petition. In this quick video, I'm going to share the results of this petition, which are quite surprising, what we've done with the results, whose attention we've gotten, and I'll give my predictions on what I think will happen. As it relates to any additional type of EIDL relief, this affects 4 million small business owners across the US. Nearly $500 billion was sent to businesses at the peak of the pandemic to keep them afloat. This program and the PPP program were the two biggest relief programs aimed at businesses and entrepreneurs. The PPP loans were forgivable, but the EIDL loans were not, and the vast majority of the 4 million borrowers are struggling. This is at EIDL.me. Now, of the 6,000 people that have signed this, about 5,000 said they had an EIDL loan. So we did some analysis based on those 5,000 folks, which, and we're proud of this, represents around 1% of all COVID EIDL borrowers. Of course, this is a biased survey. These are the folks who support some type of EIDL relief. That's the name of the petition. That's what people have read here. And here's the petition letter that we sent to the leaders of the Senate and House small business committees. Before I get into our data, here's what's come out recently that's really important. Ruth Simon from the Wall Street Journal is the main reporter who's been covering small business issues, EIDL, PPP issues. This came out a couple weeks ago. Disaster loans provided a lifeline. Now small businesses owe billions of dollars in late fees. And the most telling of all, the government has referred 860,000 delinquent COVID EIDL loans for collections, nearly 1 million. In other words, about 25% of all COVID EIDL borrowers have been referred to collections. Now, a good percentage of this is certainly fraudulent EIDL loans, but let's assume for a minute you're watching, you're a legitimate business owner or an entrepreneur, and you took one of these loans. That's why you've been tuned in and subscribed to Skip for so long. And speaking of subscribing to Skip, we've got new grants up on the Skip app and dashboard. Venmo, Verizon, US Chamber of Commerce, and Amazon all have grants right now available to you. Plus, we have 2 grants due tomorrow, a $10,000 small business grant and an instant $1,000 grant. Just for clicking here and then watching live on YouTube tomorrow, you have a shot at winning $1,000. If you win a grant, maybe you can put some of that money towards your COVID EIDL loan. Nearly everyone is still paying down their interest. You haven't even begun to touch your principal. So in this survey, we asked a couple questions after asking, do you have an EIDL loan? Yes or no. We then asked, what's your repayment status? This is very surprising. Only 30% of the folks who took this survey said they were making full payments. 38% said they're on hardship accommodation. That's the reduced payments that the SBA's had available for about a year and a half, but started pushing hard back in January and February. We helped with a lot of that communication. So 38% of the folks who signed this petition are making hardship payments. 16% said they are unable to make payments in delinquency risk, and 11% said they are in delinquency. Now, the good news is that came out with this article, and we covered this in some follow-ups, is that the SBA and the Treasury reached an agreement. The SBA is taking back all of the COVID EIDL loans that were sent to the Treasury, even if you were in cross-servicing. Now, I'd love to know if you were at the Treasury or in Treasury cross-servicing. Have you seen your EIDL loan get back to the SBA? Please let me know in the comments, because you should see it there at lending.sba.gov. You should have the options to start making payments if you haven't yet, or make reduced payments. So that's the surprising number one, that only 30% of COVID EIDL borrowers taking our survey are making full payments. Now, the second question we asked was, how does the COVID EIDL loan impact your business? Does it pay for itself? There's no impact. You have to take drastic measures to stay in business. You'll shut down because of it, or you've already shut down. Those were the 5 options. And again, like I said, this is of course a biased sample, because this is folks who are struggling, who need help. But regardless of our survey, the data supports that small businesses are struggling. In this article here, nearly 1 million folks who've been delinquent on these COVID EIDL loans. And again, as I run through some of these comments, a lot of these are shocking stories. Take a read through if you're curious. I'd love to hear your take, or leave your take right here. 63% of businesses who took this survey said they need to take drastic measures to keep their business alive. 16% said they will shut down. 15% said they've already shut down. All told, that's 95% of folks who've said they're going to shut down, they've shut down, or they need to take drastic measures, aka you're in a dire situation. Now, we split this out by COVID EIDL loan size. If it was 25K or less, 25K to 100, 100K to 500K, or 500K up to $2 million. The percentages were largely the same. And while that is some of the quantitative data, the qualitative stories here, like I said, are some of the most fascinating to read. I've shared these results with Ruth Simon, the Wall Street Journal reporter, had a conversation, wanted to call her attention to this because she's made a real impact here in terms of influencing policy, forcing the SBA and the Treasury to get on the same page, and the SBA to take back delinquent COVID EIDL loans. And this point in the article, a former SBA official saying a good next step would be give me the principal back and we'll consider reducing or waiving the fees, aka the 3.75% interest that you're all still paying. That's mentioned in the letter here as one of the most viable options. Our survey data certainly supports that, saying, hey, we're not giving people a free pass. We're not doing full forgiveness. You may argue that you still want full forgiveness because who doesn't? But can't we, at the very least, say a third option or a plan C is to say everything you've paid to date and everything you pay in the future is going towards the principal. So if you've already paid $25,000 or $100,000 for your COVID EIDL loan, guess what? Instead of all of that going to interest, which it most certainly has by now, we're going to transfer all of that and put it towards your principal. Now, I said I would give my prediction. I think something like that will happen. Obviously, we are in an election year, so decisions in the House and the Senate on legislation are extra sensitive this year. But the SBA does have some authority, as far as I know, to get some authorization to make a decision like this. I think there's a path towards a plan C. And look, I know there's over 300 million Americans where this situation is not applicable, but of the 4 million folks who took a COVID EIDL loan, these are small businesses driving the economy forward. The reason the US economy is so strong is because of small businesses and startups. This seems like a no-brainer. What do you think about that? What do you think about the survey results? Anything surprise you? Let me know in the comments. Most importantly, stay well, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next video.